Good morning. It is great to be back with all of you. We had a whirlwind of a week, and this one's pretty busy too. We are both going to separate conferences, different directions.
Yep.
I'm going to South Carolina. She's headed over to Destin, Florida for a ladies' conference. We have friends coming into town.
Oh my gosh, I cannot wait. When I told the girls yesterday at coffee, I was like, girls, the Beasleys are coming this week. The Beasleys are coming. And everybody got stupid. Everybody got stupid. We were all like, yee!
Yeah.
That probably doesn't sound good in the microphone.
Not at all.
Sorry, guys. But we really are. We're so, right now, I can feel my face getting goobery. That's the word I use. I don't know if that's the right word.
Yeah, I think it's the right word.
I get so excited. I cannot wait to see them. I'm outside myself. Anyway, sorry, go on.
And then we're starting this weekend at our church. Lysandra and I are doing a series together on parenting. So it's going to be a busy weekend, but it's going to be a lot of fun.
I think it's going to be interesting, this first message in the parental guidance series, because our kids are going to be in the auditorium with us, and they're going to listen to us teach about parenting.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting. We'll see what they have to say.
It's rated PG.
Yes.
Parental guidance.
Yeah, but we're excited. And I just wonder, how many times have we ever gotten on this podcast and been like, it's been a really slow week. Every week we come out here and we're like, whoo, it's been a busy week.
And you all know what that's like. Because
Yeah.
you got busy lives too.
That's your life. That's our life. It's our culture, I guess. But that's why we got to work to get away and rest a little.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And we do that sometimes.
This episode, we're going to be talking about cousins. So growing up with your cousins, what kind of relationship did you have with them? Were you close to them? You have good memories with them? Or you were like, we hated them. They are our rivals.
I think that is very, very rare. But maybe that's you.
I am rivals with all of my cousins.
No, you aren't.
Yep.
Well, they're winning.
Wow.
I feel a little feisty today.
I definitely feel like I'm losing.
Listen, my dishes aren't done. I'm actually a little... I'm a little on edge, to be honest, because right over there I can see my dishes aren't done, because last night... What time did I stop working in the kitchen? 11?
I have no idea. I went upstairs and was watching TV.
You gave up.
Yeah, I'm watching this documentary.
Sounds really boring.
It is. It's called The Jinx.
Okay.
It's on Max. And it's about, let's see if I can remember the name right. The Durst family. They own a bunch of real estate and stuff in Manhattan. They're in charge of Freedom Tower. They own a bunch of skyscrapers, have for 100 years in Manhattan. One of the Dursts is accused of killing his wife and making her disappear 30 years ago or something. And then somebody else got killed and then another person.
Ooh, conspiracy.
So, that's what I was doing. I have no idea what time you finally came upstairs.
That doesn't sound like a boring documentary at all.
No, it was great.
I'm intrigued right now. I'm thinking, you want to just skip the podcast and talk about that?
We could. I've got theories.
Right? Okay. But we need to get this podcast done so I can go do my dishes.
Yeah. And we're helping a friend move today.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah,
and we got to do some demolition for the bathroom upstairs today.
Yes, we're doing a remodel, and our awesome, amazing friend, Dusty Beasley, shout out to you, is going to come in and put in our vanity and sink, which we need his help because it's plumbing, and we aren't plumbers. That's not what we do.
No.
We are not Mario and Luigi.
No. If anything, you would be Luigi.
Whatever, I am so Mario in this relationship, although we're both wearing green today.
No, Mario is the pudgy one.
Oh, okay, I'll take Luigi.
Yeah, you're definitely Luigi.
Thank you. I'll take it.
Yeah. Plus you have the better mustache, so you have to be Luigi.
I got rid of my mustache last week.
It's back.
You are lucky I'm not one of those women who would be offended by that.
I know, otherwise I wouldn't say that.
That's true. All right, let's go.
All right, let's do it.
Mario.
Gather round, Yes.
Darn it.
Gather round, everybody. It's time for a family meeting. The Family Meeting is a show that's all about family relationships. We're the Osterkamps. I'm Thomas, and here's Coconut.
Hi, Coconut. The girls aren't here, and so Coconut doesn't know what to do during podcast time. So here he comes down the stairs. You can probably hear the pitter-patter of his little feet
Okay, so he'll chill out.
if we ignore him.
Okay, so where? Oh yeah. Let's see.
Were the Osterkamps?
Yes, that's right. His feet are so loud. I'm Thomas. This is my wife, Lysandra.
Hello, and welcome to our family. Welcome to episode 187 of the Family Meeting Podcast. On today's episode, we're going to talk about cousins.
All right.
Yeah, this topic was requested by one of you. We love our listeners so much, and we love when you send us your episode ideas. So thank you for sending this episode idea in to us. On that note, if you have an idea for an episode, please shoot it to us. At the end, you'll hear, the phone number and the email. You can do it that way. You can find us on social media. You could put it up on Family Meeting Community, on Facebook, like whatever you want to do. But let us know your episodes ideas. We love to try to stay relevant to what's happening in your life. So today we're going to discuss why it's great to help develop those cousins relationships for your kids. And then I found this little quote that I thought was so sweet. Cousins are the keeper of childhood memories. Very sweet. I'm sure everybody can hear Coconut. Can everybody hear Coconut's little pitter-patter of his feet on this podcast? I'm guessing they can. The girls are not here. So Coconut is just wandering around our living room floor, and he's so loud.
So loud.
He'll relax in a little bit. We'll get going, and he'll get tired of it.
Okay, so Lysandra had already mentioned the phone number. Mm-hmm. So if you have some questions, if you have any questions you want answered, you can go and dial that phone number, ask your question there, and we will have a response on a future episode. So
yeah, which would be great.
You want to hear your own voice on the podcast? That's your opportunity. Mm-hmm. But we just got back from Byram, Mississippi for their marriage retreat that they had out at Heritage.
Oh, it was so great.
Had a great time. We just met them. And it felt like we had known them for years.
Yes. They really truly feel like dear friends. And they did almost immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're a great group of people. Man, did we have a wonderful time.
Climbed a fire tower.
Mm-hmm. You were scared, but you did it.
7 stories. I'm getting hot and anxious just thinking about it.
Pastor James Howell went onto the fire tower. But did he go up the fire tower? That is a question for another episode.
What I thought was funny is Amber was quick to call him out when he's like, "Yeah, we went up the fire tower," and she's like, "You only went halfway."
Yeah,
she called him out in front of everybody.
They are a fun couple, so we just had a great time.
It was so fun, and we focused in on some communication, so that was always good.
And we got to do what we love to do most, and that is talk about marriage. And we had a great time doing it. I feel like you and me, we learned things too. After our sessions, we did the discussion questions, just the two of us as well, and talked through some things. So it was good for us.
And we're less than a month away from Marriage Weekend at Highland Community Church in Yakima, Washington.
That's a fun name to say.
Yeah. So, gonna be out there with James Kephart and Highland Community Church. Gonna be a great time. That is May 17th and 18th. So, if you are in the Pacific Northwest, we would love to have you come and be a part of that. I think multiple churches are gonna be a part of that marriage weekend. So, it's gonna be a good time. And this is one of the things we told the people at Heritage this past weekend is take the time to invest in your marriage. It's worth the time, the money, the energy, the logistics, because some of you have to figure out where you're going to put your kids and everything else. But it will be well worth your time to work on and develop your marriage relationship. So looking forward to being with them out there May 17th and 18th. Make your plans now.
Sounds great. All right, cousin relationships. Let's talk about it. They can be so sweet. They really can. And we believe it's important for our girls to know their cousins and see them as often as we can make it happen. I mean, this is like a top priority in our family, is that they can interact and see their cousins. It's funny how it's morphed over time. When they were babies, it was just babysitting. Like I would babysit the cousins and they would come over to the house and it was just me caring for all these baby girls. We all had girls. And then it was the toddler stage.
Yeah.
and so cute when they would toddle around and play with their little toys together. And then they got a little older and you almost didn't even have to babysit anymore. It's just like as soon as the cousins come over, they just run off and play. And all you do is you just hear laughing or whatever until you have to sit down and watch the play they put together.
Oh my gosh, the plays.
Ugh. Yeah, it was tough stuff. But you know what? That's payback for me because I did that to my parents. But anyway.
It was always the worst. It was like, do you want to see this play? And you can tell like they didn't practice anything and were just making up as they went along. And I'm like, I know I'm your dad and everything, but this is not your best work.
Whatever. You would clap and everything.
I would not promote this event.
You would clap and everything. You're all talk, you're no walk, baby. You were good in the moment. I think that was what your internal monologue was saying. But so now it's very different. Now all these these girls are teen girls. They're so grown up, and we don't live close anymore in Iowa. So they have a group chat now where they message each other on their group chat. And like, I'll send pictures to their group chat of them when they were little. And it's so fun where they're like, oh my goodness, look how weird Maddie's looking, or look at how goofy, whatever, and there's just such a nice time. But we do try to make our girls' cousins a priority. And I think that you guys should too. Hopefully your children have cousins and they can be close to them. Thomas and I both have really precious memories with our cousins, and we want that for our kids too. So we're going to share some of our memories with our cousins from when we were kids. We're going to share some of the things we did and the things we still do with our girls and their cousins on today's episode. And hopefully these ideas will inspire you with some things that you can do for your kids and their cousins. Or maybe it'll remind you of how much you love your cousins and that you need to reach out and say so.
Cousin relationships can be really valuable for your kids for many reasons. And we're going to share some of those reasons with you today. Cousins can offer a sense of belonging. No one understands your crazy family like your cousins. Mm-hmm. Like, who better to know and carry on a family tradition than you and your cousins? I'm actually excited because one of my cousins is coming down later this year to stay with us. My cousin Trevor's going to come down, so we're making some plans to go see the beach and do some other things. Be a great time. And I've got some great memories of spending time with my cousins. A lot of it has to do around with just giant family gatherings. Mm-hmm. At my grandma's house, she lived less than a block away from the park. And so we would go up and we played big football games and hide and seek and all kinds of stuff. And my grandparents had a cabin on the river that we would go to that no indoor plumbing.
Oh my gosh.
So you'd have to use the outhouse and everything else.
Wow.
But there were, I don't know how many acres there were to run around and play and climb trees and play football and go tubing. Like, we did so many great fun things together. Mm-hmm. And my mom's side of the family got together often, like regularly for the holidays. And my cousins still get together for Easter and all those kind of things.
And Thanksgiving and 4th of July. And you would be there if we lived closer.
Yeah. So we live obviously 1,000 miles away plus now. So, but they still get together. And I think that's great, building up those traditions.
Yeah, it's wonderful. And it is pretty funny when Thomas gets together with his cousins because the memories start to flow.
We have a picture of us. It's like us cousins together, and a couple of the cousins are real small. Like my cousin Josh is like really small, and you can tell like he had been drinking Red Punch, so he's got the Red Punch mustache, and he's married and living around Nashville now, and has a child of his own. So
yeah,
all of us were like shirtless and skinny and
scrawny, maybe the word.
Scrawny, yeah.
But cousins can also not only they offer a sense of belonging and they understand your crazy family like no one else. But cousins also offer emotional support when a family member dies. And I think about this like, you know, most of us at our age have lost our grandparents. And when that happens, I really do feel like the cousins come together. In fact, so all 4 of my grandparents are passed away. And when my very last grandparent died, it was my grandma Ruby in Minnesota. And so we all went up for the funeral, and Violet was a year old. Actually, her birthday had just passed. I was really thankful that my grandma didn't pass away on her birthday. That would have made me sad. So I think it was like 3 days later or something. So that puts it at 12 years ago. And everybody came back for the funeral. Like basically all of my mom's side of the family, all the cousins were back together again. And it was, of course, we were sad to say goodbye to my grandma, but it was such a beautiful time of remembering grandma and family memories and things that she did. Yeah. In fact, like we had baked her very special recipe of ginger cookies. My grandma always had ginger cookies frozen in her deep freeze. So whenever we would come from Iowa to grandma's house, right away, we'd go right to the deep freeze and get out a ginger cookie and put it in the microwave for like 10 seconds. And it came out like it was fresh. And that was grandma's thing. Like she always had ginger cookies. So we made ginger cookies for her funeral and we all ate those. And I don't know, it was just very like reminiscent and very nostalgic, very sweet. But also I feel like they were there for that emotional support.
I remember you're talking about Grandma Ruby, and I can't help but think of when she told me to shut up.
Can you blame her?
And we were playing cards, and I was just like picking at her or whatever.
Yeah, just picking at her. And she was the sweetest, gentlest, most quiet. I mean, she was so quiet.
So quiet.
But you had gotten on her last nerve, and she stood up and she said, "Shut up!"
No, she's like, "Oh, will you just shut up?" And of course, the entire family is dying laughing because she just doesn't act like that.
No, it was fabulous. But yeah, there's, you know, as cousins, we're there for each other when someone in the family dies, and nobody understands how you feel like your cousins because it's their grandma too. It's their grandparent. And I think a lot of times that is when cousin relationships really shine as important. I think of when my grandpa Butler died. So this would be Grandpa George, Ruby's husband. He died when I was only 11. And I remember I was just devastated because he was larger than life. Grandpa Butler was amazing. He would tell the bear stories and get on the ground and be the bear. He called my brother and he called Josiah Dynamite, and I was Dynamo. I don't know. That's what he called us. I thought it was so special. So Dynamite and Dynamo. And I would listen to music with him, and he was just really special. So I remember being in their little sitting room after he passed, and I turned on the music that I used to listen to with my grandpa, and I just sat in his big chair and cried. And my older cousin came in, Phil came in, and he put his arm around me and he sat with me while I cried. Missing my grandpa. Yeah, it's so sweet. So, I mean, you know, nobody can offer that emotional support when you lose a family member like a cousin because they understand and they're feeling that same thing. And when you talk about grandpa and grandma and those memories that you have together, it can be very comforting for you and your cousins. So it's really great to develop those cousin relationships.
Yeah, and cousins help keep family memories alive. Mm-hmm. Just the storytelling and the sharing of all the different memories. As I mentioned, my cousin Trevor is coming in July and flying down here. And a big part of what we do is we just sit around and reminisce and tell the stories. Trevor is younger than he was one of the younger kids.
Oh yeah.
So he got picked on by us cousins and all that kind of stuff, and he could probably take me now.
Probably.
So
sorry, babe.
Hopefully he's not coming back with a vengeance. But
maybe when you tell stories, don't tell the stories about when you picked on him. No need to bring that up.
Yeah. So, but yeah, we'll sit down and we'll talk about all the Easter egg hunts and different things that we would have, mm-hmm. and sharing, passing around Christmas presents and all that, and singing. And one of the things that Trevor did when he was younger is he He sang the song "Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer," so we'll share some of those
Like,
things
where did he
at
sing?
Christmas time to
Grandma?
Yeah.
Did
Yeah.
she like that, or was she upset?
No, she thought it was funny.
Okay.
Yeah.
Grandma had a good sense of humor.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah. And now you, if I remember correctly, you boys. See, Thomas grew up in a cousin family of boys.
Yeah.
Your sister Mickey was almost the only girl, right? Was there another girl?
Christine,
Oh, Christine, that's right.
Yep.
She's older, and I forget. Well, is she the same age as Mickey?
she's older, I think.
Okay. Anyway, if I remember correctly, you guys were always kind of exiled to the basement, right? At
Yeah,
Grandma's house?
that's where we hung out. It was either in the basement or we would be outside.
Right. Yeah. But you usually were like.
Yep, the wood paneling on the wood paneling all over the walls, and yeah.
Yep.
And we would get into we'd raid the snacks and the treats and all that.
Grandma was stocked up?
Unsupervised, yeah.
Now your grandma had like little Debbie snack cakes all the time, right?
Oh, yeah.
That was her
Yeah.
thing. My grandma had like the homemade cookies. And I think that's why you still love snack cakes. Like you still
Yep, totally.
enjoy them. And I think they're gross. Like they don't really tempt me.
Nope, I do. My grandma used to bring us all of us that went to church. She would bring us a little brown lunch bag with our name on it, and it had like a little Debbie cake, some gum, and things like that.
Sunday.
Every Sunday.
So
and it was our
cute.
treat from Grandma. Yeah.
So cute. So all the cousins would run over.
Give her a hug and a kiss and get our treat. Yeah.
That is like precious. Yeah, it's like the grandparent I want to be someday. So another thing that cousins offer you that you maybe can't get anywhere else is forever friendships. Very meaningful, unique forever friendships. And one of my best friends that I've had since I was little is my cousin Maggie. And Maggie lived in Council Bluffs, and I lived in Walker, Iowa at the time, childhood. And she would come to my house for like 2 weeks in the summer, and I would go to her house for 3 weeks in the summer. And so we spent like a good portion of our summers together.
Yeah.
And oh my goodness, did we have fun. We would just get on our bikes and like go wherever we wanted all over the country, because we both lived in small town Iowa. So it wasn't like we were riding all over the big city or anything, but we were like in cornfields. We were going into abandoned farmhouses and barns that were literally, I mean, they could have collapsed on us. I have no idea. We're lucky to be alive, probably. But we would go into these abandoned farms and explore and see what kind of treasures we could find. And I still
They could have been full of snake dens and stuff.
Oh, don't talk about that, babe. Ugh, no. But I still have some of the little treasures we found in those old farmhahouses and stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So you just like looted and stole
Yeah, we stole
stuff?
stuff. In that time, it didn't feel like stealing. It was like finding buried treasure. Turns out I'm a thief, and so are you, Maggie. But we had a great time. Now, I do have to admit that we picked on Maggie's little brother, Kevin, really badly.
He probably had it coming.
No, he didn't. He was very sweet, and I feel guilty to this day. I've apologized to him as an adult, but I still feel guilty. But her and I were mean to him. We picked on him. We dressed him up like a girl so many times. He just wanted to play with us. We were like, okay, but you have to be a girl. We were very mean.
Kevin, I know how you feel because now she picks on me constantly.
Yeah, I do not dress you as a girl, though. I can say that. But Maggie and I still to this day will get together here and there and kind of pick up right where we left off. She came to visit her parents in Council Bluffs, so I made the trip over from Cedar Rapids to go visit her and let our daughters, she has 3 daughters, I have 4 daughters, so let them kind of play together and everything. And when we went on our vacation to the upper Northwest, we stopped at their house on Whidbey Island.
Yeah.
And stayed with them. And of course, we just talked nonstop, reminiscing about everything and carrying on and just having a great time. And she's still a great friend. Like no time has passed at all. And so I'm really thankful for her. And I'm hoping someday she comes down to visit us when she needs to get out of the north and come to the south. She can come to to Florida. But I have Ohio cousins that I spent time with when we would travel and when they'd come to Iowa. And then my cousin Elena would stop at our house when she was traveling from Ohio to California. And she would always stay for like a couple days in our Iowa house, and we'd have so much fun. My cousin Natasha is 10 years younger than me, and I babysat her constantly, and she has grown up to be a very special friend in my life. We still talk and hang out anytime we have the opportunity. And even my cousin Nabil, he was my closest in age cousin on my mom's side, and we used to play together and have a great time because we were the only young ones at that time when we were growing up. And to this day, when we get back together, we always have a great time, and he's a good friend. So hopefully you have some really special friends in your life. And the thing to think about is that the cousins that your kids have right now are going to be their forever friends.
Yeah. And our girls' best friends are their cousins. Mm-hmm. And even since we moved, we have promised to take them to Iowa to see their cousins once a year. So every summer, we take them back to stay with their cousins. And when we did live in Iowa, we did many things to make sure they spent lots of time with their cousins. So we would have them over to the house. They would go over to their house. We believe in investing in your cousins' relationships and in your children's cousins' relationships.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So some of the things that we did with our girls for them and their cousins, and things that you might want to consider doing for your children and their cousins, is we would have sleepovers. And the sleepovers did not have to be fancy or fabulous, okay? It's just about having the kids over and having them letting them have fun together.
Spend time together.
Yeah. So there were times when our sleepovers were literally just like, hey, can your kids come over? Okay, great. And they would come over, and whatever we were having for supper is what they ate. And nothing fantastic happened. I would almost always make them pancakes the next morning, though.
Yeah.
That was like, and we would let them put in special things like blueberries or chocolate chips or whatever. They got to make their own pancakes with me. But other than that, there was nothing fabulous about these sleepovers other than that they were together. So don't let that kind of prevent you from doing it, where you're like, oh, I don't have the time to go out and get like a themed tablecloth and all of the fabulous snacks, and I don't have the energy to make them a special, amazing, do-it-yourself pizza night. Like, it doesn't have to be like that. It doesn't have to be a thing. Just invite the kids over to hang out. So some of our sleepovers were like that. And then other of our sleepovers were like fabulous.
Like the great Christmas sleepover.
Yes. Now, whose idea was that?
Mine.
Yeah. He's got good ideas. He's the visionary. So tell everybody like what made you want to do the great cousin sleepover or Christmas sleepover. Do you remember?
It was just, we didn't have a lot going on at that point, and all the kids were off school. So girls were very small at that point, and that was it. Yeah.
So his idea was basically like doing a bunch of Christmas themed games and activities.
Yep.
So for the great Christmas sleepover, by the way, it started and then it went every single year. And it was, decorating sugar cookies, like Christmas shaped sugar cookies. It was, we either did like make your own pizzas, or we did special separate. I can't remember exactly what they were.
They watched Christmas movies.
Yep. And they all we made a big, we transformed the whole living room into like a big pallet on the floor, like a big bed on the floor. And they all just slept together in the living room. Now, we had the benefit of having all girl cousins except for one boy on my side and one boy on Thomas's side. And they were both older than our girls anyway. So we were blessed to just be able to have all these girls over. Let's see. We did painting where they painted like a snow scene.
A lot of white.
Yeah.
A lot of white paint on a white canvas.
Yeah, right. They did a good job. And then we played Christmas themed games with them and stuff. So most of our sleepovers were just come over, do whatever, go play, have fun. But then sometimes we would do these fabulous themed sleepovers that were really fun. Birthday parties were fabulous, and we always had all the cousins in, and they usually stayed the night. Basically, our girls' cousins were always welcome in our home, no matter what. They were always welcome in our home. So anytime my brother or my in-laws, my brother-in-law and sister-in-law would call and say like, hey, the girls are getting off school early, they came to our house. Like, if we could go pick them up early, we'd go pick them up.
Yeah.
If they could be at our house, we wanted them at our house. It wasn't just that they were welcome. We wanted them. And the girls wanted them, which was really special. Anytime that they were with us, we took them to church. And they loved it. As they got older, then they entered the teen group, and then they always wanted to come and get to be at church with us. In fact, the cousins even went to church camp together a couple of years, maybe 3 years in a row, went to church camp together, and it just deepened their cousin relationships as well. So those are a couple of ideas, but there's even more.
Like we helped out my brother and his family when they were going through a hard time. We homeschooled some of the cousins for a year. And so they basically became like sisters and family on our side of the family. We did some family days together. So Friday is our family day. And there were times where we would do it like a joint family day where we'd go to Backbone State Park and do some hiking and different things like that together. With some of the cousins, we went to Fargo, North Dakota together.
That was like a extended family day. We did Oklahoma with those cousins too.
Yep.
On spring break.
Yep.
Twice. I think, did we do Oklahoma twice?
Once.
Missouri once.
Yeah.
So that was like an extended family day where we spent 2 nights away. And both times we made sure that we got hotels that had either water parks or pools, because in Iowa it was still cold and snowy. So for them to get to swim was a big deal. Yeah.
Cook together. We do park meetups. We went out of our way to make sure that we got them together. And like Lysandra said, our door was always open. So basically whatever we were doing, they were more than welcome to come along.
Mm-hmm. And let me mention this. This is just a suggestion to you, especially you with younger kids. When your kids get together with their cousins, take photos. Please take photos. I have the most precious photos of my kids just playing at the park. Like anytime we were going to go to the park, I would text my sister-in-law, Susan, and I would be like, hey, we're going to the park. If you guys can come, meet us there. We're going at 1 or whatever. And almost all the time, now this is a couple of homeschool families, so we had the opportunity to do this, but she would come and meet us, and us moms would talk and the kids would play. And I would just snap a few pictures of them like on the bridge together. I'd be like, everybody get together real quick, take a picture. Those pictures are so precious now.
Yeah.
Like looking back at those, and I send them to the girls, I send them to their cousins to be like, look how cute you were. And it's so special now to look back at all of that.
Yeah, the more time that goes by, the more they'll enjoy those pictures. It's like I was saying about the picture with me and my cousins.
Yes, right.
Like, we still look at that, and we especially make fun of Josh for the way that he looked. But
poor Joshy. But this is cool too. So even as your kids grow up, and our kids are growing up, I mean, they're in teen years now. We've got a senior graduating, but they're gonna have that special relationship forever. And I think about my mom, who is in her 60s. She's now in her late 60s. So weird to say that.
Remember when she turned 40, how old you thought she was?
Yeah, I thought she was so old when she turned 40. I was 12.
And now you're staring down the barrel of 40.
I am about to turn 40. No, I am not about to turn 40. Don't make me say that.
I didn't make you say anything. You said it on your own volition.
I have a very long time until I'm 40.
8 months.
I don't want to do the countdown thing.
Yeah,
right now.
We're going to put a clock on the wall. Countdown clock to 40.
It's called my depression
and
clock.
It goes dun dun dun.
Nice. Okay, so my mom in her 60s still gets together with her cousins, which is really cool. Whenever she goes to Minnesota in the summers, whatever cousins are nearby or visiting as well, they have a little cousin lunch get together. And of course, what do? They reminisce about their parents and about stories from the past. And it's so sweet that they do that. And I think that is something I really would like to see my kids do. And I would love to do that with my cousins too. Just a lot harder now that we moved to Florida. We live so far away from my Minnesota cousins are almost to Canada.
Yeah.
And we're in Florida. It's hard to get even any further than that. But someday I'd like to do that again. I remember when we went to Minnesota with my cousins, we started a Butler family reunion that went every other year. And one of those times we were in Minnesota and all the cousins came over and we played touch football in the backyard of Aunt Roxanne's house. And we had so much fun. And then, of course, it was my cousins and then all of our children playing as well, which made it so special. So just keeping those cousin relationships alive can be really important.
And one of the things you could do to kind of foster that relationship is have a cousin camp and invite all your kid cousins to come for a week to your house. You can go on adventures, plan fun activities, and just make it something special that your kids will talk about for the rest of their lives.
Yeah. And we kind of did this when the girls' cousins were on spring break and their parents were going to go on like a special getaway trip on spring break. Then we would have them over and we would just kind of have some regular days where it's like, okay, we're going to go to the park today. We're going to do this or that. And then we would usually go away and have like a really fabulous family day.
Yeah, that was one of the years where we went to Oklahoma with them.
But even still now, sometimes those cousins will come down for spring break and we will try to do fun things together with them. Like we'll go on a shopping day. I usually let them pick whatever they're going to do. But this past Thanksgiving time, because they're getting older, you know, it's harder to like entertain teenagers than it was when they were little, especially if you're trying to save money. We had such a fun thing that we did. My sister and I took all of these cousins and we went to Goodwill and you drew names, and whoever name you drew, you dressed them from Goodwill. So
you picked out their outfit.
You picked out their outfit from
and
Goodwill.
They had to wear it out?
They had to wear it out. So like, and us aunties, whatever, we participated too. So like the girls dressed us as well. And it was so ridiculous. Like one of the girls wore a lampshade as a hat. They had like big snow boots with a dress. It was just so horrible. You can find it on my social media somewhere. I know I made a reel of it. And the funny thing is, one of the things that somebody picked out for somebody was a walker, like an elderly walker.
Was it Brooklyn?
Brooklyn had to use this elderly walker. And we all laughed and laughed. And then later on, I think it was my dad needed that walker. And we're like, oh, we have a walker from this like crazy activity. So everybody was like, good job. Because I think my sister got Brooklyn that walker.
It's funny.
But we went into Starbucks dressed like this, and it was absolutely ridiculous. And then we had strangers vote on the best outfit. And at the end, what did the winner get? Now I can't remember.
I don't know.
I don't remember. The winner got something for the craziest outfit. So Brooklyn won for the craziest outfit, which meant that Lanita was the winner because she dressed her. So Lanita actually won the whole thing. But we went to the mall and walked around. We went as many public places as we could. And it was so humiliating and so fun. So that's a little idea of what you can do with the cousins as they get older. They'll enjoy that little activity and it doesn't cost too much. And then we took everything right back to Goodwill. We basically just rented it for the day.
Just dropped it back off?
Yep, just dropped it back up.
You didn't get a refund?
Oh, no. We just donated it.
Okay.
Oh, we didn't like take it back.
Yeah, because you were like, and then we took it back to Goodwill.
Oh, I meant like donated it. Like we dropped it in the donation box. We did not get our money back.
Have your lampshade back.
Yeah, no. But if you have a really, really good relationship with your sister or brother, you can go on a family
family vacation.
Yeah. Now, to vacation with another family takes...
It's got to be a special bond.
Yeah.
You have to have a couple of families that are very give and take, kind of go with the flow.
Yeah. Yeah. And also have the same idea of what a fun vacation is, because not everybody has that same idea.
So you have an awesome opportunity, though, to impact your nieces and nephews for Jesus when they come to visit your kids. Several of our nieces and nephews accepted Jesus at our house or when we brought them to church with us. And I had the honor to baptize 3 of them in the ocean this past Thanksgiving, which was quite an awesome experience.
It was such an honor. And it was
and
so
I think
beautiful.
about when they just asked if I would do it when they came down, how honored I was to have that part in their lives. Mm-hmm. But I also baptized my other 5 nieces when we lived in Iowa. And so just to be a small part of their religious and faith journey is such a cool thing. Mm-hmm. And where there's a lot of nights where they kept me up because they were being loud and everything else. They still do that when they come down.
Absolutely. They are louder now than they've ever been. And we love it.
But it's so worth it. It's worth it for the impact you get to have on their life and for the relationships that they're making with our kids. So,
yeah. So don't miss that opportunity to invest in your child's cousins. So your nieces and nephews, this is an opportunity and you don't want to miss it. They're precious to you and you're going to have them in your life forever. You're going to see them at every wedding, every funeral, all the big milestones, hopefully at Christmas and Thanksgiving, if not more than that. And every time you interact with your nieces and nephews, you have an opportunity to invest in them. So try to look at it that way and think outside the box about what you can do to bless them. So if you're like us, you're on a budget. And so I can't bless them the way I'd like to. Like I would love to just send them money or like get them fabulous presents.
Gifts or whatever.
Yeah, I would just love it so much. I would love to be that aunt. I don't get to be that aunt. But I can do things like I can teach them how to make what would be their great grandma's homemade chicken noodle recipe. And we have had so much fun making that in the past where they just take the dough and punch it and they throw the dough across the room and all of this crazy stuff and get in flower fights. Like that's the kind of thing that I can do to be a blessing to them. Thomas is the one who's going to play volleyball with them and like be active and have a good time. But think outside the box. What can you do to bless them? This summer, me and the girls, just the five of us, are heading to Iowa. And we are going to drive back from Iowa. And we've invited the cousins on Thomas's side to drive home with us. If they can just get their flights back, we've invited them to come and stay for a week or two with us in Florida. So I'm hoping that will work out. But
cousin camp in Florida.
I mean, it just sounds awesome, right? Like, what can we do to bless our cousins? What can we do to get our children and their cousins together? So think outside the box. Think of how you can bless your nieces and nephews. And of course, you're blessing your children in doing so.
Yeah, and family meeting tonight, just want you to sit down and have this conversation about what are your memories of your cousins from your childhood? And spend some time reminiscing and thinking about that. What kind of relationship do you have with your cousins now? Are you close with each other? Do you still have opportunities to get together and reminisce and carry on some of those family traditions? What about your kids' cousins? What can you do to develop those relationships and build those bonds so that they can have those memories, those friendships that will last a lifetime?
Thanks for joining us today. Please go and subscribe to the Family Meeting Podcast from your favorite podcast provider. And if you found this information helpful, please share this episode on social media and invite your friends and family to listen in with you.
To find more content and information Lysandra and I provide, you can go to our website, familymeeting.org, or email us at info@familymeeting.org. If you'd like to shoot us a text or call us, you can send a voice message at 904-257-3062, and we will answer your questions on a future episode.
Mm-hmm. And remember, this episode was suggested by one of you, so please send your episode ideas in. We'd love to hear from you. And we want to invite you to join us for our next family meeting as we talk about a one-sided marriage.
And I'll be heavily talking about this one because it is what I deal with every day.
Yeah, you poor thing. We all feel bad for you. And maybe you listen to this podcast every week and you read the marriage books and you do everything you can to improve your marriage, but your spouse is uninterested in putting in any effort into your marriage relationship. You have a one-sided marriage and you don't know what to do. I know a lot of times on this podcast, we kind of assume that there's a husband and a wife who's working together on the marriage, but that is not always the case. Some of you are putting in the work and it feels like you're the only one putting in the work. So we're going to talk about that one-sided marriage next week.
Thanks for joining us today for this family meeting. Have a great week, everybody. This meeting is adjourned.
National High Five Day was like 3 days ago.
Yep.
We high-fived.
Yeah, we high-five after every episode. They were saying to high-five and not miss is to look at the person's elbow. I'm like, that doesn't even make sense.
Try it. No, you have to be towards me. I can't look at that elbow and then.
We got a lot of mics around. There's a lot of equipment here, so.
Thomas is always nervous around technology.
Because you're going to break it.
Because I do break things.
It's not cheap.
I break things.
Yeah. So tell us about your relationship with your cousins. What's your favorite memory of your cousins? And put it in the comments there. Have a little discussion about family memories with our cousins, since we shared a lot of ours.
Mm-hmm. We'd love to hear from you. Other than that, though, have an awesome week, and we will see you next week for our next family meeting episode.